Hey guys, it's John with Alpha Channel, May 2nd, 2024 here in Los Angeles. And today I want to talk to you about patience, about being in a hurry, and about trying to get too much done too fast. You can't force things. You just... Drawing takes time. Here's what I did last night. It's not great, but it's good for me. I'm improving, and part of the reason I'm doing this is I want to document my progress with art. It took me a long time to learn to write, and that's not something you can show like this. And this is not good. This is not professional. This would never be in a comic book. But all I have to do is learn to render and crosshatch. My proportions are right, and I've had a couple artists I respect tell me I've got good style. So here's these kids. The hand's wrong. Some of the faces are actually pretty scary, but I can fix that. I can fix that in with the light box. I am trying to stay away from digital art. I spent a long time working on a project for a friend, just for fun. And I tried to do it digitally. I have a Wacom, I have a Syntec I don't use. I don't like having the pen right over where I'm inking. It makes it hard to see. It's really nice to have the Wacom tablet that you don't look at and you draw and you see the cursor move on the screen. That, to me, that works so well. Better than the mouse. You can't draw with the mouse. Drawing with the mouse is like trying to draw with the tip of a brick. It's just doesn't work. And some of the Wacom styluses are really, really nice. So patience. Good things take time. And that leads me to another thing. Is your life on easy mode or hard mode? Are you doing life on easy mode or hard mode? Because that's a choice. You can take your daddy's business and, say your dad built a real estate agency and you just come in and sell 80 houses a year. Are you doing life on easy mode or hard mode? And that's a question you have to answer. Only you know the answer to that. If you're walking through life and not challenging yourself, you're not testing yourself, you're not growing. You're either growing or dying, guys. There's no other way around it. A lot of people quit. I remember when I was a little kid. Okay, here's what I want to talk about. Life has been on hard mode for me without my choice. It's not been my choice. I had dual eye surgeries when I was a kid, corrective eye surgery, where they take your eye out and they fix it and then they sew the muscles back on so you're not cross-eyed, And that meant sports was just pretty much impossible. So everything for me took a lot of work. And I got used to doing it. I got used to working really hard, and nobody else really did. David Goggins works hard. He works out every day. But yeah, so I got used to that, and everyone on my block was tougher than me. They were all going to be ninjas. We were all going to be ninjas. We were all going to be Rambo. And somewhere along the line, a lot of guys, get to my age and they're not it anymore. You should be, if you get to this age and you haven't been, killed in a train accident or a car accident or hurt in a motorcycle accident, it's your responsibility to be at your best. It's your job to bring everything you can to the table. It's your job to be on hard mode. That's what you got to do. That's what being a man is all about. I was the ultimate, worse than beta, I was zeta. If I was born in the medieval times, I was one of those babies that would have been left out in the winter to die. It's just, I couldn't have operated in that sort of world with my eyes massively crossed. Someone would have, you can't. I know people like that exist today. Yeah, I get it. And I suppose it's a mark of royalty in Europe, but man, you can't operate that way. I had to do one of those therapies. If you get to this age, sooner or later, someone's going to force you to go into therapy because you're not fitting into their paradigm, right? So one of those, I think it was at art school, actually, they asked us to do our earliest memories. One of my earliest memories was like running through the house and my mom freaking out. And I realized now that she was freaking out because I should not have been running anywhere. I should have been in an old man's walker as, as a 6-month-old. My eyes were so messed up. So everything's been on hard mode for me, and I've just gotten used to it. And that's why I'm not afraid to, do 2 novels that no one read. When I published my novels, and it took me a long time to write them, I really put a lot of effort into it. And so when those came out, it was right when the Kindle and the Nook hit, and America went from getting 15,000 fiction titles a year to 150,000 in like 2010 and 300,000 by 2012 or 2013. That means every author with a book you couldn't sell put it out on Kindle and Nook, and good for them. They should have. That's awesome. So that's hard mode. That's what life is, and you gotta suck it up and you gotta do better. And so my writing is better. It's better now than it was then. And my art is getting better. It's not great, but it's getting better just in the past few weeks that I've been doing it. I'm only doing it now because I'm at a dead spot with the video game. I've hit a wall where I gotta spend some big money and get some help. But that's okay. These are good problems to have. These are good problems to have. It's kind of like fitness, you work out every day, and then, yeah, you're sore, but it's good soreness. So I've got notes. Struggle, easy mode. All right, this I really want to talk about. Ruben Apodaca was one of my animation teachers at Art Institute of Los Angeles in Santa Monica. And he, I think it was the first day of class, a storyboarding class, I want to say. I didn't have him for storyboarding class. It was character design or something like that. And he went up to the board and drew a perfect circle. Just like that, like his elbow, just perfect circle on the board with a marker. And he asked the class, so how long did that take me to draw? And, a couple kids raised their hands, half a second, 1 second. He's like, no. That took me 44 years, 6 months, 7 days, and however many hours. I've been practicing this my entire life. And he was in his 60s then. He wasn't counting, however many when he started at 15. So he wasn't counting that stuff before that. So yeah, it takes a long time to get good, and you're always learning. I watch a lot of draw streams, and I was watching, I think it was the Comicsgate guys, or maybe Jimmy Reyes. I don't know who it was. I want to say it was Graham Nolan. Maybe Graham Nolan, and someone said, do you get faster as an artist? And he said, someone told him this when he was young. He says, you don't get faster, but you get better. So art will always take the same amount of time. You'll still be drawing all the time, but you'll be better at doing it. You'll be faster at doing it. So yeah, that's what life is. You got to get better, or, just don't bother. Just give up. Lots of guys give up, man. They're all around you. They're all around you. Victor Hugo published Les Miserables when he was 70. I read that book. It's like this thick. It's like It, Stephen King's It, but it's a lot better. It's all about the French Revolution, and we're going through that on our own. And speaking of the Great Depression, for the Great Depression, 93% of the country owned their own business. Every job is its own business, but they've convinced us that that's not, you need all these regulations. That's nonsense. If you can get to work on time, you can run your own company. Everything else is nonsense to put other people over you who don't belong over you. And I think when things go sideways again, we're going to see it flip back to 93% to 7%. Because right now, 7% of people own their own business. It's exactly inverted. And 93% of the population work for someone else. So the whole idea is to get out of that. Be your own boss. Don't pay money to the man. Rocky. Sylvester Stallone. I love Sylvester Stallone because he wrote Rocky. Conan, Arnold, but more Conan than Arnold are huge influences for me as a kid. But Stallone, I didn't know this, he wrote Rocky. And he sold it and got the movie made, and he starred in it, and it's awesome, and he doesn't own any of it. And the only people who care about that, the only people who that matter to are Stallone, the women in his life, and the person who owns it. The rest of us see him as a god. The guy who owns it is a piece of shit. Let's just say that. He probably can't beat Stallone up. He's probably not as smart as him. He didn't write the story. He has no skills, no talent. He doesn't deserve to own that shit. It's like John Fogerty. They don't deserve to own his work. Taylor Swift, no one deserves to own her music. Fuck that. That's just wrong. Image Comics, Todd McFarlane, Spider-Man, Rob Liefeld, all of that. That's why I never tried to work at DC and Marvel. I did write for Marvel for about 6 or 8 months. And I was supposed to get in on a series called Spider-Man Unlimited, I believe it was. It was short stories. There was like 2 stories per book. And I had 2 stories approved. And I sent in my stuff and I never got a reply. And right after that, Bill Gemma launched Epic. Robert Kirkman had a story in this series. They did publish like 6 issues, I think, or 3 or 4 issues. And then it got canceled because Bill Gemma came out with Epic, where all the independent creators were going to go on a bulletin board and find each other like a dating site. And, oh, you're a writer, and oh, you're a letterer, and hey, let's do a book together. And Marvel will publish it. And yay for you guys. And they'll keep all the money, just like that fucking cunt did to Rocky, to Rambo, to Stallone. And maybe I'll bleep out that word, but I probably won't. But just like that guy, that businessman who owns Rocky and won't give Stallone a cut of the lunchboxes and the posters, just to improve the lives of the people in his life. I'm sure he gets a little bit, maybe, but I doubt it. He probably doesn't even get royalties. That's why I own all my stuff. That's why. So I heard this recently, and I'm way over my 9-minute. I wanted to keep these to 9 minutes, but if I go over, I go over. You need to be a fox and a lion in today's world. And if you have a pack, then you can be a wolf. But if you're on your own, you need to be a fox and a lion. The fox gets bullied and can get chased down and killed by a group, but he won't get trapped. The fox can smell the traps. Whereas the lion can't get bullied. The pack of jackals can't beat the lion. He'll kill 8 of them. But he can get trapped. Tarzan kill a lion with a rope and a knife just in a tree. So Tarzan's the most racist book ever written. It's a white guy go to the jungle, learn English, and dominate the entire continent. So, but that's what we did to the entire world. Watch this video get canceled. I guess I'm gonna have to cut this bit out. So yeah. Money is not everything. Friends are worth more. And time is worth more than money. So friends are worth more than time. Norm Macdonald did this bit on Conan O'Brien where he talked about what's the most valuable ship in the world. Is it a gold ship? Is it a diamond ship? And I'm going to have to cut this out too. So Norm Macdonald did this bit on Conan O'Brien where he talked about what's the most valuable ship in the world. Is it a golden ship? Dude, wow. Okay. So, money versus friends. In movies, when there's a big treasure Sierra Madre, no one gets the treasure. The treasure always gets lost. What you win in a movie with a happy ending is you win friends. You win the community. And so, time is worth more than money, but friends are worth more than time because friends multiply time. In the movie industry, what you're doing in entertainment industry is you're idea farming. And good friends who trust each other can share ideas and produce something greater than the sum of its parts. And what I've learned to do by being patient, by like Victor Hugo's example, waiting 70 years to publish your masterworks, is you can crush more of your golden nuggets, your great idea. Instead of just all the silver and copper and brass, you can wait and get the diamonds and the gold into your stories too. And that's what I've been able to do with this Modern Savages comic for the kids skating in LA. I couldn't do this before. I wrecked my best friendship with the greatest artist I've ever met because I was focused on superhero stories, not superhero stories, but supernatural stories, powered stories in comics, things I wanted to draw things you couldn't shoot in real life. And I didn't know how to write real life. And I had to get all that other stuff out of my system before I could do kids at the skate park. And if you can do, people at the bus stop, people in an elevator, once you can do that, and I can do that with this, the characters are right. I know how to write people well enough that I started this with my main character, Jamie, on a pair of rollerblades. He's wanting to learn hockey. He's a skater. He wants to learn hockey. He's on a pair of rollerblades with a hockey stick. And he's wearing a goalie mask, and he's got his hood up, and he's in an elevator, and the door's open and an old lady's standing there with her groceries. She falls down dead because she thinks he's the Grim Reaper. And she gets scared. She doesn't fall down dead. But that's how it started. And then the security guards start locking him in the elevator because he's going up to do tricks through the parking garage. As he comes down, him and his friends, that's what they do. So the security guards play games and lock them in the elevator between floors. And he'll talk shit to the camera. And that was how this comic started. I don't even know if I want to include it as a page in every book as a bit, but it's really just a comic strip. And so, yeah, if you can do that, that's when you know you've got it. That's when you know you're ready for the big time. At least that's what I feel like. And that's what I mean about rushing it and being patient. Stallone knew he had something, and he got in a hurry and he sold it. Just like, I don't know what happened with Steve Niles. Steve Niles and Ben Temple-Smith did 30 Days of Night. I hope you've seen the movie with Josh Hartnett. I once had my hair cut like him, and I was in line for a movie, and someone thought I was him. We used to look a lot more alike. So 30 Days of Night is a lot like Rocky, and it's a great idea. And once you had the idea, it's perfect. And ideas are worth a lot of money, and everyone in Hollywood has a story about having an idea stolen. One of my characters for my books is a lot like Dexter. He's even named, he's named Franklin Gustav Morgenstern, and I came out with him long before Dexter came out, and Dexter's named Dexter Morgan. And my brothers were like, dude, they got your story. Somehow they got your, and they didn't. He hunts serial killers, my character hunts serial killers, but they're very different. And Jeff Lindsay's in Florida, and he's a novelist and a journalist, and the ideas were in the air at the same time. Basically, what my guy is and what Dexter are is he's the total anti-hero. He's a superhero whose superpower is Colonel Kurtz in Apocalypse Now. He'll cut off all the kids' arms. That's a superpower. That's the Sith. That's going all the way. That's going all the way. These people who preach tolerance don't have any idea what it means. The Catholic Church with their original sin is a lot closer to the mark. So, yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot to get out today. Patience. Friends are worth more than money. Time is worth more than money. Don't put money first. You can. Here's the other part of that. I went to a Ray Reynolds seminar when I first got out here to LA in the mid-90s after the Marine Corps. I'm a lot older than I look. So I went to a Ray Reynolds seminar. He's still doing tax credit relief. He'll fix your credit for you, get you a high credit score by dealing with TransUnion, Equifax, and whatever the other one is. That's the other thing he talks about is getting money to start a business. If you don't know what you're selling, your business cannot work. You have to. This is what thing he hammered home in a seminar. I was there with Jay Butler and his girlfriend Mia Trudeau, who was a movie star. Oh my. She was in a bunch of movies. I think she's selling real estate now. So this is it. Like, if you don't know what you're selling, if you don't have anything to sell, Bob Dylan said, the people were hassling Bob Dylan about the Byrds. Like, oh, aren't you angry that this other band is going around making more money with your music? This seems to be happening to you a lot because your voice is so, the way you sing, people don't like it. Now, no one knows who the Byrds are. No one cares about whatever Carpenter, Jennifer Carpenter, Charisma Carpenter, whatever, the Carpenters. I don't know what her name was. No one cares. Everyone knows who Bob Dylan is because Bob Dylan put the words on paper. Bob Dylan wrote the music. So that's where the power is. That's where the power is. You got to have something to sell. You can sell water if you want. You can be Mark Cuban. You can be, those guys. But if you develop yourself into something to sell, if you develop your skills and talents, I don't mean go exploit yourself on OnlyFans. Don't fucking do that. But if you can develop this level of skill. Now, Neil Adams gets a bad rap because he was always giving people shit for not drawing like a camera. But Neil Adams grew up at a time where the camera displaced an entire centuries of artists. Like, paint was expensive, and people used to paint things better than they are. And that gives you an eye. This is what I love so much about art, is I can look at people that people look past and pull the beauty out of them. You learn how to do that. And you want to draw things better than they are in real life. Anyone can do bad art. Banksy is a genius because he pulls more out of it. And he does it with words and really simplified images. But you can do it with just a person's eyes and their face. And that's what Renaissance painting was. Their job was to paint the royalty to look better than they did, to paint them on their best day, which is what everybody wants. Some days you have a bad hair day, some day you're not at your best, some days you're hungover. I don't get hungover anymore because I don't drink anymore. But, you know, not only a mediocre artist is always at their best. Here's the other thing about being invisibly handicapped. I retain keywords like a motherfucker. So Love and Rockets, when I was in the Marine Corps, I was at a record shop in Carlsbad and Love and Rockets was playing, and I remember hearing a song. I was like, dude, there's no music that sounds like this. And I thought to myself, I'll never know who this band is. I'm like, I'm in a record store, ask them. So I did. And they told me, and I remembered it. I don't know if I bought a CD that day. I might have, or I might have just gone home and downloaded it. I think I bought one. Quentin Tarantino had the same thing happen with the 5, 6, 7, 8s when he was in Japan. And they wanted to tell him the band name, and he's like, I'll never remember. Quentin, you're punk, man. Boost your memory. Write it down. I'm working on nothing. You got money and you can't remember. You had to buy the CD and, you know, mess the guy's night up and, you know, muscle him. Whatever. It's a punk move. But I get it. That's what I would have done too. Yeah, so I don't want to talk. I talked shit on a lot of people here. I'm going to have to go cut all these names out of this video. But yeah, so yeah. Patience. Oh, and here's the movie quote for the end of the show. And I'm going to show you these again. They're not that good, but they'll be better in a couple days. And the movie quote is from the movie Colors. And I know a lot of you guys have not seen Colors. Colors is a movie with Sean Penn and Robert Duvall, and they're cops in Los Angeles dealing with the burgeoning cocaine drug trade fueled by the CIA, which we now have so many miniseries about. This is when Ice Cube was coming up and NWA was a thing and blah, blah, blah. And I think they were here in LA. I want to say they were. I probably haven't seen this movie since the 80s. But I remember the joke. Robert Duvall tells a joke to Sean Penn. They're sitting up in a cop car, like an undercover cop car, watching. It's a lot like Training Day, because I think Sean Penn is a new undercover cop, and Robert Duvall's been around a while. And they're watching like the gangbangers and who's selling drugs and who's in charge and blah, blah, blah. And Sean Penn makes some comment about, like, let's go bust those guys, like Keanu Reeves in Point Break. You know, tell me your theory and we'll go get these guys. And so Robert Duvall says, look, let me tell you a story. There's 2 bulls up on a hillside looking down over the valley, a bunch of cows, really hot cows. The young bull comes up to the old bull and goes, why don't we run down there and fuck us one of them cows? And the old bull looks over at the young cow and goes, why don't we walk down and fuck them all? That was awesome because they said fuck in a movie. In the 80s, they didn't do that. In the 80s, comics were awesome because people got killed. In the 80s and 90s, comics were where you went for unrestrained violence. Conan and the Punisher were awesome. There's nothing like that now. Well, now we have TV. Now we have 300 and well, now everything's gay, so whatever. That's a whole other problem. But yeah, so patience, walk down, learn your craft, get your skills. It's okay that my art sucks because I've got a great story, and as I get better, my gesture drawing is good. The most important thing, when I went to animation school, what they really tried to impress upon us is if you over-render a dead form, it doesn't do you any good. You need the life in the drawing, and that's what this has that, at least as far as, for me, pushing myself. That's got a bit of life in it. And I've got some of, you know, that's why skating is so awesome. One of the first things I did out of animation school was a robot. His name Beta, BetaBot, and he's doing an ollie, but he's all robotic. And it was going to be for like a t-shirt company that my friends made that never went anywhere. I think they did a couple conventions, and And that's expensive. That's really expensive. And unless you get someone famous to wear your stuff, it's really hard to make it. But yeah, so patience, you got to build it. And nowadays with this, you know, this is awesome. I've been around this a long time, but I haven't had this story to do it. I haven't had this. And this is going to be such... Remember this. Remember this. Someday I'll be selling this for $20 at a convention. This girl's hot. Let's see what else I've got here that I can show you. This is not good, so I'm not going to show it to you for more than flash. This is just white paper. So, that's it for today. Walk down. Walk down. Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys.